All right. So I was asked about ChatGPT and how it can be used in different professions and different settings and different realms. So in my personal, I guess, professional working space, I mean, I tend to work in the data science world. So I mainly focus around analytics, dashboarding things, maybe using some Python, write some scripts and trying to clean up data. That's kind of the realm that I'm in, right? So, but before that, I would like to cover a little bit about what ChatGPT is and kind of what the general use cases for it are. Right? So starting out, it'll be some sort of screen like this. But before that, ChatGPT is basically a natural language processor that allows for people to interact with it, kind of like a human interaction. So instead of Googling something and kind of interpreting the data, one could use some sort of AI for the purpose of direct conversation, right? So for example, you can pick one of these prompts over here, and then obviously I could just run it. Hopefully it goes through. Right. And then that would be answering what quantum computing is in simple terms. Now, obviously this is a bit lengthy, but the point is I can talk to the machine as opposed to Googling it. It's a bit iffy whether or not I'll get the proper definition. Google actually uses the search algorithm to kind of like filter out the same question, right? So if I were to take this exact question and I were to Google it, right, I'm going to get a long definition and it kind of restricts me to this. But because they have a search algorithm and you can kind of push off the best results to the top, and of course I can YouTube this as well. But the difference here is I can actually tell it in simple terms, right? Maybe this wasn't simple enough, right? And I'm talking back to the machine and it'll try to simplify it for me. It's trying to give me some sort of thing. I can obviously stop that and say in 10 words or less. Obviously it won't be the most complete definition, but I can force it to give me more of the outputs that I want. So that's kind of the power difference between using ChatGPT versus, like a search engine like Google or Opera or Yahoo or whatever. So it's a natural language processor that combines human readable understanding and you can kind of prompt the text the way they need to be in order to have a particular output. Now, the ChatGPT at least 3, it does have some limitations. 4, it does require the $20 a month, and with that, you can actually access, you can download, put data in, and make it do certain things. But I think ChatGPT 3, the 3.5 version at least, is enough for most people. Obviously, I can upgrade to plus, whatever. So that's something I can do. But for the most part, the free plan should be good enough for now, right? Obviously, it does allow some in high demand situations it might be more useful, and it does have more capacity. And by the way, this does lead to the GPT-4. So now it's actually probably worth buying it. But initially, when 3 was released, the 4, the paid version wasn't necessarily worth it. Now, one limitation is ChatGPT 3, the 3 series is actually limited to the data, it's limited to 2021, right? That's kind of like cutoff. So if I were to ask what happened in the news today, you may not know. Right. So it doesn't really know because the cutoff is 2021. So there's kind of a workaround. This little app right here, Web GPT. So I can probably pretty much Google this one. So, or just type in ChatGPT web extension. Doesn't really matter, but just make it downloadable. It should go through, et cetera, et cetera. And then when I refresh the page, it should pop up here. So now I can actually enable web access, right? So now it can give me results with web access and without web access. So that's kind of like a little workaround there. So I can say, let me see, hopefully it works this time. what happened in the news today. So obviously I think my server is down on my end. But I mean, this is the web access. I mean, it's what it is. I don't know if for some reason it's giving me a hard time. Hopefully my server's not down. So it's giving me some troubles here, but right. So it's just work with the web access version, and that should solve most of the problems. I just gotta wait for the server to come back up. But so I tried switching tabs. Hopefully this is. I mean, I switched browsers just for Google. So let me see if this works. So if I remove the web access, I can have say new. Oh, what's that? I don't need that. So yeah, we did enable the thing here, which is why we have this web access thing over here. But let's say weather in, let's pick a city, Chantilly, Virginia. Okay, so we're checking the Chantilly. Now I don't expect it to pick it up because it doesn't have the web access right now. Right, the AI model can't actually pick it up. But if I did enable it, it's processing whatever it's going through, and it can give me slightly more, but it's recommending that I don't necessarily use it. But the thing is, if I were to actually dig a little bit deeper, I would be able to prowl certain answers. In fact, it's even giving me the URLs that would point me in the right direction. Oh. Right. So it's pointing me exactly where I needed to be. Right. So it's more of a conversation. I think that's probably the best thing to explain about it. Obviously, I can't think of a good question that I would use the internet for right off the top of my head. But the point is, it does allow for web access. So if I wanted to have particular links to a data set for, I don't know, data set for hunger rates or poverty rates in Asian countries with links, preferably from government websites. So normally I wouldn't be able to put in a prompt like this on Google directly, but if I were to use the web backend version, it's more likely that I'll come up with better outputs. Now, of course, I'm kind of abusing the system a little bit, but it tells me different websites I can access because I have the thing plugged in over here. This is the World Bank. This is the Asian development, whatever. So how is the web access version different than this? Well, this is literally a link that points me to where I want to be, right? And this one points me to the other link, right? So those are different pointers, and then I can kind of like go through. So that's kind of the power of using the web tool. But if I were to put in the same prompt, obviously there's a lot of people using the server right now. But if I were to put in the same prompt without it, right? If I were to do it without that, it'd be harder for me to find the actual links because it may not, like, it'll give me the same places, right? But it doesn't necessarily work. Now, obviously, because I use that same prompt before, it is going to point me to links. But if I didn't have it available before, it's likely that the links may not pick up. So in some cases, the web access could be handy, but depending on the individual's use case. But it's a nice little trick to have over here for more current events. I just don't have an idea off the top of my head right now, but depending on the use case. The first thing I would probably implement is some sort of brainstorming. So let's say brainstorm some thoughts. So that's brainstorm would be a keyword. some thoughts about economic form in simple English. So this will kind of like simplify it, simple English. I learn about different things: capitalism, socialism, mixed economy, command economy, whatever, whatever, whatever. Right. And I can either go further into it and add subtopics, right? So this one would allow for different subtopics, right? So I can have different subtopics within this thing, and I can go on and on and on. Now, if I'm ever tired of the length of it, I can obviously stop generating or come back to it, I guess, whatever. But everyone has their own thing that they need, but this is good for now. Regenerate the same response. Obviously, that would kind of do what that is necessary. And let's stop that for a second. So that's sort of just regenerating. But what if I want to extend this a bit? I can say I can arrow up to it, but it's not really necessary. But I do this out of force of habit. But give me 3 more. Right. So economic inequality, roles of government, economic growth, et cetera, et cetera. Now, let's try something else. I want, okay, I want personalized recommendation for a birthday party coming up for my buddy. Let's say, what's his name? Should be Julian. Let's make up a name, Hodge. Okay. Okay. Now his interests, whatever, whatever. I grew up with him. And he is my best friend. From Thailand. And he speaks Thai. He likes, let's say, karate, Kung Fu Panda, and he is a soccer player now. He doesn't drink, but he likes chicken. I think. I live in, let's say, Maryland right now. Okay. So give it some stuff to work with, right? So martial arts themed party, sports party, a cultural experience, adventure day out. These are not things I would have thought of, right? So it can give people personalized recommendation. So that could be something. Another thing it could also do is simplifying complex topics. I think I alluded to that a little bit earlier. Let's say define chromatography. Chromatography, right? Define chromatography. So now on the sidebar, we can see like different prompts that are being saved. But of course, I can go over here and I can like delete things by clicking on it. And I can also, ChatGPT also offers a new feature now. I can actually share this link to someone else. So I can actually share that conversation to somebody else so they don't have to keep going through and generate it themselves. So that's another feature that I think is pretty cool. So this is pretty long. Maybe I don't need such a long definition. So I can actually limit it. Of course, we did the 10 words or less. And say, or maybe I can say, I am a simpleton and I know little English. Please simplify and not give me a whole lot of words. Okay. So this is simpler than what we had before, right? Let's say I don't even speak English, right? But the best language to use with ChatGPT is obviously English because that's the language where it has the most exposure. Uh, so that's Mandarin, but right. And I can obviously ask them to translate it back to English. So same thing. Obviously, it's going to lose slightly because when the translation comes back, it's going to be a bit off. But I mean, it's accurate enough. I think that's a good thing there, right? So simplify. Went over that. Now, another key word is summarize. So summarize. I use quotes just to make it easier for the prompt to understand. Romeo and Juliet, right? Chapter by chapter. Okay. So I can have something like this. Act one, it's giving me a summary. Act two, it's giving me a summary. Act three, it's giving me a summary. Act four, it's giving me a summary. Act five, it's giving me a summary. Act six, it's giving me a summary. Right, so on and so forth. I don't even think there's an act six, but oh yeah, he dies. Yeah, so no act six there. So if it didn't give me in bullet form for whatever reason, I can actually tell it to give me in bullet form, and it'll more than likely it'll work. But that's a little tricks of the trade. And as long as that works, it's work. Okay. Um, let's say for whatever reason, I want to remove Act Four, but keep the rest. And just for fun, I'll tell it to put it in tabular form, right? Put in tabular form, please. So it'll give me 1 through 5, but remove 4 and then put it in tabular form. So tabular form would be something that'd be useful for, let's say, if I were to do like data analysis or something like that, or anything more involved, that would be something useful. And obviously it's generating the prompt itself. It didn't really come out quite clean because I mean obviously I force it to fit in certain parameters. But let's see if I can remove it. Remove the BR stuff. Right. So we just got to clean up the HTML there. Hopefully this works. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, it's close enough. Right. It sometimes it does have trouble reading it, but at least we got what we needed more or less. I mean, we're really not supposed to be putting it in tabular form when we have a bunch of text like that anyway. But that would be something that's useful. Okay, so let's go more into actually, yeah, so translation, we've done that. We've covered simplifying things. Obviously, bullet points are something that we have done with the brainstorming. Having personalized recommendation. We can also obviously use it for writing emails, right? So write an email to my boss about the fire alarm that I accidentally pulled when my suit got stuck to it, and I don't think I should pay the $500 fee. Fine. Please forgive me this time.
By the way, I work at, where do I work at? All right, I work at the YMCA. I work at the YMCA. Okay. So I'm basically writing an apology letter. It even tells me the subject line, dear, blah, 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 blah. Now, obviously, if I were to paste this in, like, because this right now an AI wrote it for, let's say there's some sort of AI checker, right? One way we can check this, right? Let's assume we go to a whole different chat, right? Let's say somebody wanted to check this with AI. Did you write this? Okay. So it'll say, yes, I wrote this based on the information provided. Now, even if I did go to a different tab, it'll be the same thing. Now, one way to get around this, of course, people can use AI checkers, and that's something that we can also find out. One way we can avoid, I guess, the plagiarism thing is going to a paraphrasing tool, right? So hopefully people don't abuse this for their high school papers or whatever, but let's just try something, right? So we got a paraphrasing tool that'll allow us to do it piece by piece, okay? Now I'm going to use Notepad here on the side, just to kind of like keep track of things. In case you're wondering why the color is off, I just changed the theme from light to dark. Anyway, so that's that. So what I'll do, I'll first take this. I only want this part of it. Actually, yeah, I only want that part of it. So I'm just going to take that and put it here, right? Yeah. And then I will cut it because this, I mean, there is a paid version of this which allows to put unlimited and I even allow for downloaded thing, but I don't want to do it. I'm cheap. I want to save money. So what I'll do is I'll use Notepad to chunk it piece at a time because I believe it keeps up to 125 words or something. I don't know the exact character count, but I'll do it piece by piece. So what I'll do is I'll go here and paste it here. We're going to do a full example so there's no confusion. Obviously, this does require rereading it, but your boss. Okay. Uh, Number two, paraphrase, and there's a little copy thing right here. Okay. Number three, paraphrase. Okay, copy. Put it right below. Number four, paraphrase. Obviously, there's better ways to do it. If I use the premium plan, I wouldn't have to do it piece by piece like this. But again, I'm just doing it for the free version just to just keep this things a bit simple, right? And obviously, for this one, I can translate to a different kind of whatever. I can switch synonyms, blah, blah, blah. Now, obviously, if I'm going to do it this way, I probably do want to reread it a bit just to make sure it holds the format. And last one. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll put this over here. And so this is what I was doing all along. I put it right here, Dirt Boss. Let's say, let's come up with its name. Century Hacker. And my position is, let's say I am a graphic designer. I don't know why I'm a graphic designer, but okay. So apparently, let's see if ChatGPT recognizes this, right? Let's see. Did you write this? Right. So this would be the use, right? It obviously didn't recognize it. It doesn't recognize its own text because we use a paraphrasing tool and then brought it back. So that would be for email purposes or to kind of like mask the AI signatures. Because if I were to take the original and post it, if they have some sort of paraphrasing tool or sorry, AI checker or even a plagiarism checker, it may pick up mainly the AI checker though, because it's paraphrased enough, whatever. Now, if I was trying to write something, right? Let's write a 5-page paper on Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets in Morgan Freeman's. Oh wait, in in Shakespearean English. I want subheadings and bold appropriate things. I want to impress my teacher with SAT words. What else do I want to tell it? Make me look smart. And mention some spells. Talk about motifs, themes, and some cool about Ron. In fact, write this from Hermione's perspective. So now I could just wait for the paper to generate. This is my 5 pages right here. This is literally the entire chapter. Yeah. So, and of course, if it's not lengthy enough, I can tell it to expand on some paragraphs, right? Expand the paragraphs in each page and make it 1,400. Let's do 3,000 words in total. So I'm writing it from Hermione's perspective. This is a 3,000 page paper, give or take. I mean, obviously, I have to keep asking it to expand on different things. Yeah, page 1. So. Da 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 da. Okay. Good so far. I want this in Spanish though. So I'm literally writing the entire paper in Spanish midway through, and then obviously just converting over. And then of course I can convert it back if needed, and then obviously use the paraphrasing tool and then bring it back again. And then it's basically a good tool to have, right? Okay. So let's say if I have a text like this, I just got a book PDF, right? So what I did is I downloaded it, and I'm gonna actually use another AI plugin, but it's linked to ChatGPT, so I'm gonna use it. Let me backtrack a step here. So first thing I'm gonna do, I could upload from a URL, but I'm gonna keep it simple for now and upload this PDF here. As long as it has some sort of text to pull, it'll work. Now, it may not always work, but this is just something. It's kind of an extension to ChatGPT. I have it in one of my bookmarks over here. It'll be something cool. Obviously, I have some other things here like Tiny Wow, which is pretty cool for like merging PDFs and doing a bunch of other things. But for the most part, let's just stick to Ask PDF because that's what we got right here, right? So it's giving me some possible questions that people would have about this document. And I can just place that in, and it's reading the document. And based on that, it's using the same ChatGPT over natural language processor, and is kind of like pulling it in based on typical questions that people would ask, right? So hopefully it's letting me do this. Let's see. Death of Ivan is about what? If it's not working, obviously I can always go back to ChatGPT and try things. Okay, so it's not as developed as ChatGPT. Maybe it might be the text itself, but usually it works. Maybe I need to have better, right? But I'll try with a different PDF. Maybe it'll work. But for now, let's just try that same question over here. Okay, so it's going to go into more depth here. So all the other PDFs, if I had tried a different PDF, maybe it would have worked. Who knows? But it's another plugin just to keep in mind. And then business as usual, I can send it to one of these with links and stuff. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe it's because I don't have the full, it's only 28 pages. Maybe that's why it's not working. It can handle up to 200 pages, I believe. But if I had a better PDF, I could probably try it. I'll try it with one more just to make sure. One sec. Yeah, so I uploaded Hamlet here just to see what's going on. Act 1. As long as it can pick up the text, it can do things, all right? Because sometimes it may not be easy to implement it directly and add it to the actual ChatGPT. And so if it's something that's uncommon, as long as it can pick up the text, like for example, I say, tell me about Act 1, and I can have it answer, what are the characters? Hopefully it can see this one. In Act 1. Put in numerical order. Again, it's a little bit limited, but it might be able to pull it. It's going to be a little bit slower. Okay, but yeah, it was able to pull it. So it has all the different characters here. Because it might be a book or a PDF that ChatGPT is not familiar with. So that's why a tool like this would come in handy, assuming it's below 200 pages. If it is beyond 200 pages, then use some sort of tool that allows the PDF to be separated, right? There are tools that allow for that. I don't know of any off the top of my head, but there are some slicing tools, PDF slicer, and basically slice up the PDF in formats that it can accept, and then just ask it one by one. But in this case, this was enough for what I need, but that was just a use case for those who have some sort of complex data. And so if I were to get it ask PDF, whatever, I can actually have in multiple formats. So it can actually read not just PDFs, it can read .text, CSV, EPUB, RTF, PowerPoint, both versions. So I don't know why it doesn't say .word, but I mean, a word could easily be converted to PDF, right? So maybe that's not such a concern. So yeah, this is a pretty good tool to kind of implement. There's obviously other tools, but just to keep things very simple, this is what it is. Now, I did promise, going a little bit into the analytics side of things, so I'll jump into that right now. But I thought it would be an important idea to kind of have some context before we start going deep into things. So let's say, for example, I wanted to fix formulas. This will work exactly the same way in Power BI, Power Query, or any sort of tools. Now, one thing that I did do is I actually did add a plugin right here. I actually added the ChatGPT API from with Visual Basic, right? So I did add that in there. This is a bit complicated. We can get into that later. But for now, I'm just gonna focus on like actually working through like normal cases, right? So let's say I want to deal with some Excel stuff. So let's say in tabular form, because that's what we do for Excel, right? In tabular form, I want – 1, let's say space 1, 2, put this in column B2. So it should give me something similar, I'm hoping. Yeah. So basically this is kind of the output that I have over here. And I should be able to, yeah, I mean, obviously I wasn't, I shouldn't do it this way. Okay, but a better example would be something like this, right? So let's say if I have some names, right? All right, let's actually show a use case for the tabular form. Column name, let's say Andrew Jackson. Column Andrew at uts.edu. Okay, and let's have another person, George Washington. Oh, Washington. So that's name, and then let's say GW at or uts.edu. Okay. And let's say he also has a phone number. Let's do 571 454 0982. Okay. Let's say 571 903 46788. Okay. Thomas Jefferson. Okay. And let's say he has an email, or let's do phone number first. It doesn't really matter. 540-219-6943. Okay. And he might have an email too, right? Jefferson at VT dot, or I guess tuts.edu. And let's say we know another guy that's from, I don't know, World Bank or whatever it is. Who's another president I like? Okay, yeah, Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. Abe Link at can't spell right. Lincoln at what is the University of Florida? UF, right? UF.edu. Okay. Put this in tabular form. I want three columns. So this should solve my issue a bit. Hopefully it's able to do it. If it doesn't do it, I'll force it to. Ah, there we go. Format this better. I want to put this in my Google Sheets. So sometimes it doesn't give me what I want, so I'll have to use another prompt, which is a little bit annoying. Like go to a whole new chat. Like I don't like what it's doing right now. So what I'll do is I'll take this, go here, and put this in tabular form. I want name in column A, column B, email, column C, phone number. So hopefully this reads. Sometimes it just requires the actual prompt to warm up because a lot of people are using the server at the same time. So gets a little bit annoying sometimes. Maybe the paid subscription would come in handy right about now, but we'll see. Worst case scenario, we'll just kind of like draft it out and then paste it over. It might still work, but yeah. Worst case scenario just requires a little bit of cleaning up. But we'll see. Let's see if we can organize it right now. Yeah. So you can organize it in a way that's more appropriate. Right? We got the names, we got the email, we got the phone number. Name the columns. So you got to fight the machine a little bit, but it does work. Okay. It's the idea. And oh yeah, there's a little handy copy tool right here. So take advantage of it. It works, right? So sometimes things get a little bit weird like this, right? So what I use as a workaround, I use Notepad, right? So I can go like this, and then that. I can kind of like play around with things. So it's helpful sometimes, right? Put in tabular form. Right. I just got to play around with it a little bit. So yeah. So I can use Notepad as kind of like an intermediary. And then I can kind of like loop around. So Notepad is a very handy tool for even Excel actually. So let's say if I use the random number generator, right? And I don't think this is really taught very much, but I'll go through right now. So let's say random between 1 and 100. 1 and 100. Or let's keep it 1 to 10. So this is the number right here, right? And this is a volatile function within Word, which as in like if I were to do this again, oh, let's try this. Oh, so let's do random between 1 and 100. Or did I do 1,000? Yeah, 1 and 100. Okay, which means every time this regenerates, it's a volatile function. It won't work. It'll keep changing. It'll keep changing. Keeps changing. Now, of course, there are like the copy special tool that can be used to kind of modify it. But let's assume the person doesn't remember that. They just want to have a little quick workaround. What they can do is literally paste this over here, take this, and then go over here, or let's say another sheet, and it doesn't actually hold the formula, right? That means if I were to go here, I can do, I guess, control tilde, and I can see the formula. But if I go here, I can't see the formula. There is no formulas here. Okay. Click formula, 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 formula. No formulas here. So sometimes it's helpful to use the Notepad as a workaround for a lot of different applications. So Notepad is pretty good for that. Obviously, can also be used for coding implementation sometimes, but that's just a little workaround that I like to use sometimes, similar to what we did over here. Just for giggles, let's give Abe Lincoln a number. Abraham Lincoln as a cell number. Let's say 202 232 8901. So hopefully it modifies it properly, but sometimes use the workaround tool. This is it. And I can go from here. I can obviously copy this. I can screenshot it. I can do some stuff. I can go here and say, okay, I can go like that. And then obviously paste it over wherever I need. So that's a couple things we can do there with that one. So hopefully that's a bit more useful. Another thing I think would be useful is debugging things, right? So this is where people are likely to run into. So let's say if I were to go over here and I have some numbers over here. I want to sum this up, but let's say I forgot how to do it. How do I sum a column in Excel in 20 words or less? It's going to tell me how to do it. Oh, okay. Column, something, range. Okay, cool. So I go column, and just for entertainment purposes, I'm going to make an error because we're going to also try to debug this as well. And okay, so this is, oh, oops, I even forgot to get it wrong. Okay, well, let's try something like this because I know it's not going to work. Okay, cool. So now this has an error. Oh, did I mess up something? Okay, so it has an error basically. I can tell it to fix this. Fix this. I don't necessarily need a semicolon. That's kind of a force of habit there. Just say fix this. It'll give me the correct code. So I can go here. Okay, I'm too lazy to even copy that. Make it copyable, if that's even a word. Okay, well, whatever. So I can go here, business as usual, things work. Okay, now I want to do the same thing. For column 2, column B. Okay, so I do that, and yep, that's it. Of course, it can change the numbers, whatever. So that should be it. So it can help me debug things, and it can also help me generate certain prompts. Okay. And obviously I can do different things, right? Like count A. Now, of course, if the person that knows how to do this can do it well, then they may not need the tool so much. But I think sometimes it helps a person analyze things a little bit faster. Let's just do count. Just count. Just regular count, right? Just keep some things over, change it up a little bit. Obviously, this is going to change. This is a count A, so it counts everything, including the characters, or even say that'll count, right? But this one can only sum up the actual numbers. This one here can sum up everything except for the characters. It can only count numbers, and this one here, whatever, right? But let's say I didn't know that. Count A versus count in Excel with examples. So I want it to give me examples. Oh, see, I even mistyped Excel with Excels. I meant to say example, but it corrected me. Show me this with sample raw data inputs. All right. Show me this with raw data inputs, whatever. It's going to tell me what it's supposed to look like, and it should kind of speed things up for me. So this is all that. The output for count A versus count in this particular example. Yeah, I'm spelling things wrong, but okay, so it says here, this will give me 5 and this will give me B. All right, let's put that to the test. All right, so let's try that out real quick. Oh. Let's see if it does it let me paste like that. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. So remember that little trick that we learned? What is it? Let's see if it works for this one. I don't know. Give it a shot. Doing it live anyway. It's fine. Um, okay. Looks like it's not doing it that way because I didn't I didn't take it out. Um, column A and B in tabular form, please. There we go. Actually, I might be able to just paste it in straight like this. Okay. So business as usual. And then it says what? Count A 15. All right, let's give it a shot. 5. That's what it told us. And let's try this. Should be 3, 2. Oh, see. So we learned a few things there. Now, what if I had something like a Power BI or a SQL request I wanted to check? Okay, well, let's try that real quick. Um, do I have something? Oh, awesome, cool. So let's say I'm running some database queries or whatever, and I want to check if this is right. Okay. I'm gonna make some mistakes here on purpose. Let me actually take a photo of this just so I remember what the tables are. 1 second. I just want to make sure I remember the tables so I don't mess up too much, so people don't have to wait for me much thing. But I should more or less have it right. Okay. So let's say this is correct, and I don't know. I forget this, and I don't know. This doesn't work, and I leave the comma there, delete this, and whatever, right? Actually, yeah, let's do. Mhm. Yeah, let's keep it like this. Now, obviously, this isn't gonna run, right? This is executing the whole thing. This is not gonna work, right? And we can try to like Google this and try to figure out what this means, or I can put it here and then be like, fix this, right? And it should just fix it, okay? And if I'm lazy and I don't want to learn anything, I could just do that. Runs just fine, right? So, by the way, I can do the same thing with a different data set. I can do this with like Power BI. I can do the same thing, whatever. And if I don't know what this means, comment this line by line. So it gives me the explanation for each, right? So let's there's somebody else that's looking at this. I can literally go here, business as usual. I don't have to type out this. Okay, what if I want it above? Comment above the code implementation. Again, I'm not spelling things right, but it's working. Oh, all right. Well, all right. It didn't listen to me, but that's okay. It still runs business as usual and is commented. Everything is good to go. All right. Now, if I wanted to join tables, I can ask it to join tables. I can tell it what it is. Now, in the 4 version, GPT-4 version, people can actually plug it in directly. But I think this should be enough for most people, right? Because it can debug certain things, um, it can find data, et cetera, et cetera. So let's just say I want to now we're gonna export this data, right? So we're gonna try to export this. I may have to close out the screen. I don't know. We'll just put it here somewhere. 1 second. Let me think. All right, so basically what I did was I just hit the export button and then I just saved it and then it came here, okay? That's what I did. All right, anyway, so basically, if a person has the ChatGPT thing installed here, they can use summarize this data. All right, I could do something like this. And maybe it'll work. I don't remember if I still got this activated, so I don't remember. Let's give it a shot. Okay, it does. So I'm pulling an HTTPS request. I'm pulling from the server directly, and hopefully it opens up another sheet and it tells me what happened. This doesn't always work for some reason. It works sometimes, but it doesn't. But of course, we can always take this data and put it straight into the actual interface. Dataset information is confirms the coronavirus numbers. Okay, so this one's definitely off because I didn't give it the right input. Okay, so it's pulling from something else. All right, excuse me for a second. I'm just gonna take this and let's just try it straight. I gotta fix the HTTP request on that one. A little quick tip here: if someone wants to play around with the tools, they can do something like this, right? And then go to, I believe it's home, and then format, auto column width. So that way everything's kind of like whatever. And then business as usual. I can take this little window shift key there, the Windows button, arrow, and let's try analyze this data. Analyze this raw data. Okay. Now it'll tell me what the data is likely to be about. So it remembers that it was a SQL request thing and it got converted to this. And now it tells me the representation, right? I work as a data analyst at um, AMC Movie Company. Please make this a presentation of questions and answers for stakeholders. So I can kind of like massage the data a little bit and have it give me some stuff. So introduction, blah, blah, blah. Question, blah, blah, blah. Answer, blah, blah, blah. What is a combination, et cetera, et cetera. So literally based on this raw data, I was able to generate all this insight off of this. Um, tell me something interesting about this data. So there we go. It appears to be blah, blah, blah. So I think the idea here is pretty good, right? Um, or let's say if I want further, give me further. So this is where that little web access tool will come in handy. Give me some additional data sets that I can query from to talk about market trends based on this data. Now I'm gonna pull a request from the server. Let's go to the actual HTTPS, and now it's gonna give me different links. Hopefully, there we go. Give me my first link. IMF gave me some data. Whatever. Let's just let it run. But we're gonna, for now, I'm just gonna go to the IMF data, see what's going on there. All right. So IMF data, monetary fund. I'm sure there's some stuff I can pull from here. Blah 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 data. Drill down some sort of granularity, United States, or let's say I move to Iran, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen, my favorite country in the world, United Arab Emirates, 3.5, whatever, right? Or maybe we hit, I don't know, Algeria or Chad, who knows? But point is, there's data here. It may not be too organized, but it can be done. So let's say there's some PDFs here because I assume there's going to be some Excel stuff here. Okay. If I were to download this, this probably won't be set up in a way that's easy to implement. Of course, a person that has a strong data science knowledge can actually go and try to pull the data and try to clean it up. But if the person had ChatGPT 4 version, they can probably implement it and just have the AI tool itself do the work. But I don't feel like paying the $20 a month right now. I'm not going to use that for that particular purpose. But the point is, there's a lot of potential here, and it can even point to certain sources that would allow for specific use cases, right? I can obviously ask it to clean the data, optimize it, whatever. But I think this should be a great introduction for finding data sources and using it to debug certain things, right? I'll try like one last thing for, I guess, for coding purposes for those who are interested in, because I mean, a lot of data analysis today requires a degree of coding, right? So let's just try something like this, right? So let's say I was to write out some code, and I want to, let's say, define func one. I want to print uh, func. This will print here. Okay. And I might get this wrong because I'm just doing it off the top of my head. Sum equals add well one plus input. I'm gonna ask it enter two numbers. So actually, wait. Let's back this bit. I misspelled that. I'm one. We're gonna take it as an integer. We're gonna convert it. Want to grab some input. Enter your first number. Oh, second number, and I need something to actually be able to pull, right? One plus num2, and then we're just going to return sum. And then obviously we're going to try to print out this function. Then function should, hopefully this works. So, func, oh, oops, wrong name. All right, let's give it a shot. All right, so first number is, let's say 100 plus 100 should give me 200. Beautiful. So yeah, that should be it. I probably don't even need a function to be completely honest. Just keep it very simple. Hmm. Right. That should be good. Right. So sum is 200. And in the real world, somebody would probably use like I don't know, some sort of uh, function here just to keep things a bit tidy. Oh, forgot one more thing. Need it's not gonna work. It's gonna break. Okay, so here we go. So that would be an F string here, which would probably be more blah blah blah. But then ChatGPT would come in here, and I can kind of like clean it up a bit. Put this in a function, and comment above every line. Why am I using the? I don't need that. I don't need the web access no more. Uh, Comment above every line. And wrap it. So this will do the exact same thing, but it has like, I guess, and that's the little copy button right there, in case you're wondering. So business as usual. Now, this would obviously also be useful for like Jupyter Notebook or something like this, or a person can go and say, you know what, I want to sum up these numbers, right? So I can say, write a code in Python to sum up numbers in a column A, and yeah, in column A through whatever, um, from a CSV. So it should have some sort of CSV pulling feature. So import the CSV, and this would be the read file, and then indicates the row table sum. So a person could use this exact code and then basically be able to write to the file and basically start pulling things from it. Now I happen to have my tool belt, so I can actually create pandas straight off of this. Um, but that's not really necessary right now, right? We're not going to go into depth about that. But the point is, it can be used for that too. So I just wanted to kind of wrap up that example real quick, just to make things simple. But yeah, fun at parties, impress your friends.